Hey everybody, this is Michelle with Bob Rewards Club, and I am coming to you today with another episode of Black Business Entertainers. So I'm glad that if you're going to be joining me today, I'm glad that you're here. If you are going to be looking at this on Facebook or on Twitter, because I do multi-stream when I do go live, please come over to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like and share. Okay, we are trying to get more subscribers over here. But today I'm going to be talking about someone who is so wonderful, and I'm so proud of my sister Taraji P Henson. She's also, everybody knows who she is. She is the star of Empire, and she's played in a lot of different roles. But I'm not going to be talking about what what she's done as far as in her acting career. Okay. I'm going to be talking, when I do it with Black Business Entertainers, is I talk about Black business entertainers who are actually have another business outside of what they do. So like, for example, a couple months ago, me and Hamlin, we did Nipsey Hussle, and unfortunately, we lost Nipsey Hussle a few weeks ago, but he was a legend, okay, because he had a lot of businesses outside of him making his music, and so that's the same thing here. And today I'm going to be talking about Taraji, okay, P Henson, and her foundation, which is the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. Okay, and talking about mental illness in the Black community, and that's exactly what her foundation focuses on. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all, and also I want to, for anybody who's a Bob member that's taking a look at this, I want you guys to know that we are having our quarterly 2 meeting tomorrow, which is Monday the 15th. That is going to be at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you go to the Facebook page, which is Bob Rewards Club, you will find the PIN number and the call-in number for anybody who wants to participate in that. So we are going to be talking about a lot of different subjects, and it shouldn't last about maybe an hour and a half. But it'll be a good way for us to talk to each other and for you guys to keep up what's going on with Bob Rewards Club. So, hey, I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow again at 7 p.m. Okay, it is going to be a conference call that may turn into a video call. But for now, it's going to be a conference call. We'll see how many people we get. But I want to go ahead and talk again. Like I was saying, I'm talking today on Black Business Entertainers about Taraji and her foundation. And about, I guess last year sometime, she accepted an award from the Power of Women in New York. And she gave a speech, okay? And so I want to share with you that speech that she gave. Now, before I do that, I want to share this. The Fair Use Act and the purpose for our use of the copyright information in this video is for the sole purpose of education, teaching, and news reporting, okay? Not all the content that I talk about here not all the content itself may be appropriate for certain groups. I'm talking about some language. Some people may get offended. However, with Black Business Entertainers, I want to mention that that's not really an issue. Okay, there's no offensive language here, but if there is something that I may say, it's not a reflect of everybody who's a Bob member. So I do kind of want to throw that out there, but I do want to share with you guys this great sister, Taraji P Henson, and take a look at this video here.
Yara, you are something. You are a force of nature, sweetheart. I want you to know I see you. I have your back. I am here for you. I love you so much. And everything I do is for those coming up behind me. Thank you for recognizing. I love you. Well, thank you to everyone at Variety for this tremendous award. And for me being chosen as one of your Power of Women honorees. I salute all of the beautiful, brilliant, resilient, bold women I share this moment with. I'm humbled and grateful to stand in such company. For me to be here today, I'm at a loss, really. Um, to every woman who has ever had to give up, give in, fight, relent, break backs, break barriers, hold on, let go, build walls and knock them down, I firmly stand in the wake of your presence. I am fueled, yes, that includes you. I am fueled by the power of your courage to win or fail. But whatever the case, keep going. I'm being honored today for the work that I'm doing with my nonprofit, the Boris Henson Foundation. I named it after my father, who suffered with mental illness after his tour of duty in Vietnam. Our vision is to eradicate the stigma around mental health in the Black community by breaking the silence and breaking a cycle of shame. Thank you. You see, we were taught to hold our problems close to the vest out of fear of being labeled and further demonized as weak or inadequate. Our vision is to change that perception. Our goal is to normalize how we think about mental health by advocating and raising funds for more culturally competent counselors in urban schools, social workers and competent counselors and social workers in urban schools, trauma-informed curriculum in order to break the pipeline to prison, and scholarships for those young people interested in the field. See, our people don't know about this field because we don't talk about it at home. To ensure that we have enough soldiers to fight the battle. Our children experience trauma at home, on the way to school, in school, social media, TV, basically everywhere they hold space. The number of Black children between the ages of 5 and 12 who have died by suicide has doubled since the 90s.
It's terrible. It's
This is
terrible.
a national crisis.
Wow.
Sorry. My dad is one of the reasons I started this foundation. And my son,
Such a
and my neighbor,
serious.
and my friends, my community, our children is why I keep going. The struggle is real.
The
The history of
struggle is
mental
real.
illness for Black people in America stretches all the way back 400 years.
Wow.
15 million people in an ocean that holds the stories. That's a lot of healing to do. One of those stories, however, found her way out of the depths of dark, murky water and has shown us what power really is. Her name is Priscilla. If you want to know what real strength and resilience looks like, just follow her story back to 1756. She was only 10. Priscilla is the only known person captured and brought to America whose journey from shore to shore can be traced with a paper trail. She landed in Charleston, South Carolina, alone. Didn't speak the language, confused, traumatized. She survived and still managed to get married and have 10 children of her own. The power of women.
Yes.
When I think about what it looks like to be a little girl growing up in a city at age 10, I was running around in the neighborhood playing hopscotch, jacks, and double dutch. My kinky curls and a ribbon in my hair, white patent leather shoes, and a pocketbook on my arm, ready for Easter Sunday. That was 10 for me. Even though I passed drunk old men and homeless people on the way to school and greeted the crack epidemic waiting around the corner. At 10, your dad's struggle, that was normal. That was normal in the hood. Everybody's angry, loud, disheveled, and a little pissed off. This was normal. 400 years running through the veins, and we keep going. It makes me think about the powerful women I've been blessed to play in my career, what they must have seen, experienced at 10, what they considered at that time to be normal. Katherine Johnson, by the time she was 10, she was in high school. And this, growing up in West Virginia in the 30s, in the midst of segregation, it was normal for her dad to have to drive 120 miles every day to get her to school so that she could send the first man to space. She kept going. Katana Starks, may not have seen this movie. Katana Starks, first black woman to coach an all-men's golf team at the collegiate level. When she was a little girl, she loved to swim, but had to walk 3 miles to get to the black pool. This was normal in the South. She said she remembered her mother saying to her, there was no giving up. You keep trying. So guess what? She kept going. And recently, in fact today, I have a movie opening today, The Best of Enemies. Thank you. Where I was given not only a chance, but the fierce responsibility to play a little-known icon and pillar of strength, resilience, and compassion, Ann Atwater. Please see the film, guys. Not for me, but for this woman. Durham, North Carolina, a woman who changed.
All right, so I'm going to stop it right there. But again, I'm talking about Taraji. And, you know, what she says, she's so real, okay? She's just so down to earth. And if you guys don't know who she is, I'm talking about you see her, you've seen her in a lot of different movies. And she's, you know, she's gotten some great roles. But you don't know about her biography. She is originally from the D.C. area, okay, if you don't know. And she went to Howard University. She used to work for the Pentagon for a short time. And she's done, you know, she loves to cook, okay. So I had to familiarize myself with who she is and, you know, just doing a little bit of research. Now, she's gotten engaged, you guys all know, to a football star who plays with the Indiana Colts. And his name is Kelvin. Let me see what his name is here. His name is Kelvin. And she met him through, you know, through another friend, just, you know, and they've been dating. Now, you know, a certain, you know, it says that I know that she was on The View. I'm going to play that, as a matter of fact, because I thought that was really good, too. I just think that she's such a great person and outstanding, and her foundation of what she's doing is just, it's just awesome. It really is. Let me hold on a second here. And I also want to show you guys the foundation itself. I don't know if you guys know the website. It's Boris L. Henson Foundation.org. And L is for Lawrence. So, this is the logo for foundation, where it's the little girl. She's sitting on, you know, on her dad's shoulders. And that's just, you know, she has such an affection for her dad. And her dad had suffered through mental illness when he was in the Vietnam War. So that is the motivation for her foundation. Now, the great thing about Taraji is you know, I like to talk about people like Taraji and Nipsey Hussle, because Taraji, she's only worth about $16 million, okay? I mean, that's more than what I have. But she is, you know, unlike an Oprah Winfrey, who's worth $2.4 billion. And a Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey has this camp. I'm going to be doing him next week on Black Business Entertainers, because I think it's good that we show light and we talk about those, as I said, those people that are in the entertainment world who are really giving back and investing in our Black communities. And whatever they're doing to make a difference and to change anything to make a difference, okay? Because our communities, we suffer with poverty, and poverty is one of the number one reasons of how come so many of us suffer through mental illness, and so I want to share it with you guys. I want to talk. This is something that I want all of us to think about, and how we can make a difference, and how we can change. Now, I know, like I told you guys before, I have mental illness in my family. I have a daughter who has schizophrenia, okay? And I come from a family of schizophrenia. And schizophrenia and a lot of these other mental illnesses, such as even bipolar, or, I'm even going to put in borderline personality disorder, a lot of sociopathic behavior. Mental illness is not mental retardation. And there's a stigma that we have in the Black community, where we don't want to talk about things that are bothering us, or things that, that are mental illness in the Black community. And there's also a great video on TED Talks that you should go take a look at. And maybe I can play a little bit of that. But, a therapist, and how she talks a lot about how we don't get the help, and we, especially to our young children or our youth, when they need the help. And, our suicide rates are up high, as, we know, as she talked about. We are 20% more likely not to get the help compared to white people. Okay. Now, I'm not going to say that we are more likely to be mentally ill, because I think, in my opinion, that if we look at America and just the way that things are in our society, it's difficult. Okay. We don't live in an easy society, and stress often leads to, our families. We have stress in our families, work, where we live, and all kinds of stress that we have to deal with that causes us to even have mental illness. And so that's why I think it's very important that we talk about things. And like we've seen with the guy that killed Nipsey Hussle, on the 31st of March, he was at a mental hospital. They're going to probably make him a mental case for him, which that's a whole nother discussion. I don't necessarily agree with, that, because he was to be, quote unquote, an informant. And when they did use him, but, he was said to have mental illness. And we know that most of our Black people who are sitting in our prisons, who are in our jails, they have mental illness. Okay? We have a very large homeless population across the country, and a lot of them have mental illness. So it's something that we need to talk about, and we need to focus on a lot more, I think, in my opinion, in our Black communities. And I want to see that happen. But I want to share with you guys, and to recognize when people need help, okay, is a thing too. And like, it says on the website here, break the silence, break the cycle, eradicate the stigma around mental health issues in the African American community. I mean, I love it. I love the focus with her $16 million of only her worth compared. And like, you see the same thing with Nipsey Hussle. It's like, this is the kind of stuff that really is going to make a difference. And her focus is, like it says here, our vision. The Boris Henson Foundation's vision to eradicate the stigma around mental health issues in the African American community. And what they do, okay, is they provide support and bring awareness to mental health issues that plague our community. So what she's doing is she's serving to partner with other nonprofit organizations and offer programs that educate, celebrate, and make visible the positive impact of mental illness. And I know some of the causes and what she's focusing on with the foundation. And I don't know how many people she's employing at the foundation, okay? But I mean, if you want to know that, you can certainly give a call. I'm sure they'll be glad to tell you. But, you know, what's good here is importance here. And, you know, I like here that this foundation that she has, like when we look at the contributions of, say, like Oprah Winfrey, when I looked at Will Smith and Jada Smith, okay, all right? And I also did them on Black Business Entertainers. A lot of their giving is not giving that is specific to the Black community. And so that is why I think that we have got to focus on really investing in Black communities, even though you might have an outreach for everybody. But if you know, like Oprah, if you know that your Black communities are suffering, with a lot of different things, poverty being still an issue, okay? And like here, we've got mental health issues. We've got issues that, we need with gentrification and so on. There's so much that we can do to help. Like next week, I said I'm going to talk about Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey does have a great foundation in what he's doing with mentoring Black youth. Okay, it's wonderful what he's doing. Okay, although I do disagree with some of his statements and maybe some of the of how some of the missionary kind of stuff that he's doing, and I'll talk about that again next week. But for now, I just want to emphasize the importance here of giving back and investing in your Black community. And here we've got Taraji, who, again, she started the Boris Henson Foundation. And basically, she's focusing on giving mental health support in urban schools and just competency in the Black community. So I think that that's awesome. And, she's even got listed here the National Suicide Prevention and the NAMI helpline, and another Project 375 here. So, youth and stuff. And, another thing that we don't talk enough about in the Black community is the effect that now we have a lot of our youth who are living an alternative lifestyle, okay? A lifestyle of being LGBTQ or whatever it is, lesbian, gay, queer, whatever. I wish they would just come up with one name. I don't like all of those letters, and they keep adding more, but that's a whole nother subject. But, a lot of them, I even heard that people who are transgender, they have a 40% likelihood of committing suicide. One of the highest suicide rates, okay? And so we are seeing that we are having problems with suicide, with the gangster lifestyle I was talking about, this week with Nipsey Hussle and Bob City News. We are having these issues, okay, in our community, and we need to focus on them. Now, I'm not saying we're having them more so than any other group. I am saying, because I know Asians have the same issue, okay? And I know that white people have always been the ones that I've known since I was a child that grew up, were the ones that were more likely to commit suicide. And now we're seeing the reverse, because so much of us are living there's no other way to put the white culture. Okay, so and our lifestyles have have changed. Our culture is changing. Okay, and we cannot deny and admit that we have bought into who we were as traditional African people and the lifestyle. Okay, so that you all know. But so that's the reason why we do need to get help. We do need to get help for our youth, our family members, our friends, and people that are dear to our hearts. If we see people in our community like Mr. Eric Holder, who killed Nipsey Hussle, if we see these people in our community and they need help, and they're especially our loved one, it's time to get help. Okay? It's time to get help. So, I wanted to just bring that out, and I appreciate, like I was saying, I appreciate everything that Taraji is doing for the Black community, and putting the emphasis on getting help at the times of when we're dealing with anxiety, depression, schizophrenia, or whatever mental illness, even stuff that hasn't even been diagnosed. And like they said, even the president has a borderline personality disorder. He has a personality disorder. He's a narcissist. Okay, that's a personality disorder. So we have to, but he's a whole nother subject, and I want to talk about that, not today, but I do want to talk about his narcissism and where I believe that comes from. And I believe it comes from a history with his father. Okay. So, but, and I think it's very interesting to look at people. And sometimes we got to catch ourselves, on what this stuff is. But, another thing, too, is, a lot of mental illness, it's been known, is caused by a bad nutrition. Okay? So, I'm going to say nutrition, poverty, okay, and also trauma and some type of post-traumatic distress, okay, some type of trauma, okay. Now, that doesn't have to be like, one of the biggest things they say, like with people think that people who are gay, they were once considered as being mentally ill. Okay, and so we have this thing of, and they I want to say, like, from when a lot of people think that they've been sexually abused, people who are gay, and that's not true. Okay, and I know this for a fact because I have a daughter who is a lesbian. She's proud, and I'm proud of her for being who she is. And this, this is another thing that we need to talk about in the Black community, that we don't talk enough about, that we can't, put shame on the way people are. There's a number of reasons why I think she turned out the way she is. And I do think a lot of it has to do with biology. Okay. It has to do with chemicals. And that's a whole nother subject, and it has to do with hormones. A lot of people who are the way they are. But whoever she is, she's a beautiful person, and I love her to death, and she's turned out to be a wonderful person. And she happens to actually work in the field of cooking and nutrition. Okay? So she is a chef, and she's really into living a healthy lifestyle, and how she cooks and how she puts meals together. And so, I ran across a very good article here. I always like to go take a look at what the U.S. National Library of Medicine and the National Institute of Health have written up on a subject, because It's scholarly, okay? And so in doing my research, I came across a very good article that I want to share with you all, and it is called the Understanding Nutrition, Depression, and Mental Illness. So I'm just going to read this. So for few people are aware of connection between nutrition and depression and why they easily understand the connection between nutritional deficiencies and physical illness. Depression is more typically thought of as strictly biochemical based on emotionally rooted. On the contrary, nutrition can play a key role in the onset as well as severity and in the duration of depression. Okay, so basically the types of foods that you're eating. Okay, so that's why you do have to have a clean diet. There's certain herbs and and certain types of foods and even exercise to release the stress and everything. This helps with mental illness. Okay, and so I kind of I think it's good just for those who don't know, but the most common mental orders that are currently prevalent in numerous countries are depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and obsession compulsive disorder. The dietary intake pattern of the general population in many Asian and American countries reflects that they are often deficient in many nutrients, okay, especially essential vitamins, minerals, and omega-3 fatty acids. And this is based on a study that they've done. A notable feature of the diets of patients suffering from mental disorders is the severity of deficiency in these nutrients. Studies have indicated that daily supplements of vital nutrients are often effective in reducing patients' symptoms. Okay, so neurotransmitters, which in turn alleviate depression and other mental health problems on the basis. Okay, so if you want to read about this, but very good, to take a look at, there's certain foods. Now, if you want to get into the types of foods that are causing, of course, anything dealing with medicine, they're trying to give you some type of medication. Okay, but if you want to really start looking into the different types of foods that are good for like relieving stress, to like even things like with fish oils and nuts like walnuts and turmeric and different types of herbs and foods that are good for, they even saying schizophrenia. They're saying that schizophrenia is actually has some deficiency in some relation, but I'm going to talk about that another day because that is a whole nother topic. I want to kind of stay focused on the good thing that Taraji's doing and how we need to support this sister on her foundation. And then talking also about this whole thing with mental illness. But yeah, foods and herbs and are some things that there's a deficiency somewhere. I'm a true believer of that. So I think that if you want to get more into looking at it, you can go ahead and find all kinds of research on it. It's all kinds of stuff. Just Google it or whatever search engine that you're using. So the next thing, like I was saying, that Taraji herself, she's played in quite a bit of movies. She's quite funny. I love to even listen to her. I don't look at Empire, though, because I don't watch TV. I don't watch any traditional TV, and I don't really support, the show with, I know that Lee Daniels is, this is one of his creations. I don't necessarily support the views and, I guess I don't like to popularize anything dealing with gangster lifestyle or anything with that deals with any type of negativity, okay, that in a light, because that kind of stuff is what we've seen so much on TV, and I think we see this stuff in videos and in the imagery of the gangster lifestyle is what's causing a lot of our youth, like our Nipsey Hussles, who see, he was all into the Tupac, all into he was, at that time, when Tupac, he was born in 1985. Okay. So, he was in that genre back at that time when, especially, with Death Row. Snoop Dogg was an idol. You could see that he, if you looked at the funeral and you saw the thing with Snoop Dogg, you could see that he really did look up to Snoop Dogg, and he idolized him in some way, because they did have that Slinky both thing going on, and just the kind of the energy that you would get from. But the gangster lifestyle is something that, as we know, it's urban, and we know that it is, it has gone down, because I want to point that out that, they've already put a lot of our brothers in prison, okay? Our neighborhoods have been gentrified, just like, and that's what Nipsey was against. But, we have this problem with the gangster wanting to look cool all the time, and the whole thing of coolness. And I know when I was living in Las Vegas, that's one thing I didn't like about when I would go to California. Not so much Vegas. Vegas is awesome. But, the West Coast with Vegas and California, it's a lot of materialism, okay? And we just have a lot of materialism in our culture. And it impacts our youth at an early age. This thing of trying to be perfect, to do so great and well, and we have pressure from our families and stuff. I know I had it in my family. I know that I even put it on my two children. Okay? So I know that I'm not the only one who has experienced some of this stuff. And I like to share it. I think that, sharing things is very important. And I think that it helps us. It just helps. And this is my therapy. I always said this is my therapy. But mental health, as I was saying, it doesn't mean that you're mentally retarded. Some of the most smartest people, some of the most talented people, some of our most famous actresses and actors and entertainers that we see, they suffer through some form of mental illness. Either it's a mild form, or even some have even greater forms, as we've seen with, suicide deaths and stuff. And this is where we have to take a look at what's going on. We have to, okay? And then also, because as I was saying, it's not just a black thing. It's not. I would say half the country, and especially intensely in some of our urban areas, suffer through some form of mental illness. And so, and I would say things such as having I know I'm getting some still shots here. I don't know why, but I would say here still that, half of our country suffers from some type of sociopathic behavior, okay? Some type of narcissism, or some type of borderline personality disorder. That could be, like I said, depression. That could be schizophrenia. That could be something of that nature. Okay? I mean, even narcissism falls in that category too, an extreme narcissism. Okay, okay. So I have this other article. I want to share this other website with you all. Because I do, like I said, I want to talk about, how this affects us in the Black community. Now, this website's pretty good. This website is Mental Health America, and they've got a page directly dedicated to Black and African American communities and mental health. You can go take a look at it. It's mentalhealthamerica.net. And they've got some great statistics here, okay? So they got here showing that 13.2% of the population is African American, but actually that's 13.6 now. It's actually gone up. And 16% had a diagnosable mental illness in the past year. And then that is over 6.8 million people. Okay, now these are just the people that have been diagnosed with a mental illness. What about all those people that have not been diagnosed with a mental illness, okay, that are in our communities, that we see walking around, that we see that are living in homeless shelters, that we see need help, okay? I'm talking about the people that you see, okay? So now, and this is some old data, that's why they got that 13.2, but as of 2010, 55% of all Black American people lived in the South. Okay, it says here. And then 18% lived in the Midwest, 17% in the Northeast, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And historically, adversity, which includes slavery, sharecropping, and race-based exclusions from health, educational, and social and economic resources, translate into social economic disparities experienced by African Americans today. Okay. And despite progress made over the years, racism continues to have an impact. And as we know, that it certainly does. It certainly does. And that is how come we are on this movement with the ADOS movement for reparations, because we know that slavery has had an impact that has left throughout generations, through many families. If it's not in yours now, if you don't want to believe it, especially those who suffer through poverty and not having generational wealth, have certainly, it has contributed to anyone now who is Black in our communities who have mental illness. And you cannot deny that. And I know that we have people in our in our so-called Black youth community and just all over who don't want to believe that, yes, it has contributed, slavery has contributed to modern day mental illness, because if you look at behaviorisms and you look at things, and even like I said, maybe some type of nutrition not having from not being in the motherland, okay, that is going down through some generations of families. Who knows? Okay, because we know that we don't have access to certain types of foods. Okay, and if you don't know that, go take a look at some of Dr. Sebi's videos and go take a look at some of this stuff. We don't have access to certain herbs. Okay, so there's certain types of spices and herbs and just foods vegetables that we do not grow in this country, and things have been genetically modified, the seeds and everything. So that's a whole nother podcast. I'm not going to go there. But I do want to bring that point that yes, we have to say that yes, that has had an effect on how our lives and mental illness. Okay. Now, and as I said earlier, on the last study that was done, it says that African or Blacks are 20% more likely not to report a serious psychological. It says 20% more likely to report serious psychological distress than adult whites. Yeah, okay, not to report. I'm sorry, I said wrong in that. So it says here they're 20% more likely to report a serious psychological distress than adult whites. Okay, and that's because of, again, the poverty, the nutrition, the stress, lifestyle. Okay, that's because of that. And then that, they talk here about poverty, and of course, and then, having those feelings of sadness or hopelessness and worthlessness than adult white males. And then that's just, that's, that's just the way that is. That's the kind of society we live in, is that, this is why we call this white supremacy, because everything white has been seen as good and idolized as good. And so when, everything Black is seen as bad. So you just can't deny that fact, that is the way it is. And so that is how come we have so much more mental illness. And if people don't want to deny If people want to deny the fact that this mental illness that we have is not because of our lifestyles, the genetics through the nutrition that has changed over years and years, and the stress that we have to undergo when we go to work, when we even drive down the street, when we go shopping in a mall, when we, just the lifestyle and the living that most Black people do in this country is stressful. It's hard. It would cause mental illness. And the fact that Taraji talks about her father, who was in the Vietnam War and suffered through mental illness, okay, I think I think that's great. I think she's sharing that about her life, and I appreciate everything that this sister is doing to give back to the Black community, and this is what I call investing in your Black community. Okay, these people in our community need to be put up to a pedestal. I'm glad she's receiving awards. I hope that she makes lots of money, because she is the type of woman, Black woman, who is going to give back to her Black community, okay, like a Nipsey Hussle. And we need more of these type of Black people who have made those millions of dollars to have specific charities and focuses and missions that are centered in the Black community, because it is our Black communities that are suffering. Our Black communities right here in America are suffering, okay? So, hey, shout out, and I'm going to end it right there. And, as I said, the sister is outstanding, and I want to say thank you to Taraji P Henson and your foundation, the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. Thank you very much. Again, join, share, and like this video. Please share this video with other people, and join our YouTube channel. Have a great day.